I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast.
All right, so here we go. I'm so excited, you guys. Today, I have my guest, Reiki Master Chrissy Rice. I was going to say Chrissy Reiki.
I like it. We'll leave that.
That works too. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her, and I'll kind of share with you guys my experience and my first impression of Reiki and what I felt when I got treated by Chrissy herself. And so here's Chrissy Rice. So Chrissy, tell me a little bit about your journey in becoming Reiki practitioner and what led you to this healing journey or modality.
Yeah. So whenever I have to explain this to people, I always say that you don't find Reiki, Reiki finds you, right? So I was on this health journey starting in 2022 to heal my thyroid naturally, right? Through food, supplements, mindset, you name it, I was all in. And I've always known about Reiki, like pretty much my entire life. I've just never experienced it. I knew what it was slightly, but didn't really dive into it. And I went for a hair appointment with my hairdresser, and she goes, Chrissy, I just had the most amazing Reiki session. And I was like, sign me up. So I just immediately took her information. I had a session and I walked in the door and I met the Reiki practitioner that I was working with at the time. We looked at each other and we sat down across from each other. And I said, the first things out of my mouth were, I need to be doing this. And she was like, welcome. You do need to be doing this. And I was like, this is wild. Like, how did I get here? Right. I had the most amazing Reiki session, and I just signed up to do Reiki level 1 and 2 right away. Like
what was the experience like that made you say, wow, I need to be doing this?
So I've always been sort of a spiritual, mystical, believes in everything kind of person, like my whole life. Right. And when I had this Reiki session, it was like a mixture of, I'm going to help you, but it's going to be a little mystical at the same time. And you're going to wonder what this is. And you're really not going to be able to pinpoint exactly what this is, but it's going to blow your mind and it's going to help you. Right. So that's when I decided, I was like, okay, I want to know more. How does this help people? Right. It really helped me understand and open up to the concept of energy in our bodies, where we store it. I was fighting thyroid disease and I was storing all my energy in my throat. And when I figured that out and I made that connection, thyroid disease to not speaking my truth, I was like, I need to work on that, right? That's how I heal the thyroid, along with other things.
So just to kind of educate the people from the energetic center points in the body, the throat chakra is all about the thyroid, because we teach in my yoga programs too. We go line by line with the endocrinological system that we possess it physically, but energetically how each of the chakra systems line up. And what Chrissy is explaining to you guys is the relevance between the organ that resides right at the throat center. And it really is relevant because I, as a functional medicine practitioner, will tell you this is absolutely true what she's saying. It's not so woo-woo. There's definitely a correlation between not being able to speak the truth to having thyroid dysfunction. So yes, go ahead.
And when you correlate the two together and you're like, I'm looking at this organ and then I have this energetic imbalance, I'm like, this makes total sense to me, right? So I went on that and basically I healed my thyroid with the whole concept of everything I was doing. I'm not going to say that, and I don't like to say that one modality heals all, because I believe in using all of them.
I agree. So I'm going to just kind of ask you a question specifically, because this is really important for people to know, is when you talk about, like, you just knew, and when I first met you, you said something along the lines of, I've always known I had this intuition. You talked about clairvoyance.
Yes.
And that you always knew, but it was something that you had to suppress growing up because it was like you had to live your life.
Yes.
Like everything in life is something you see, something you can touch, something you can measure. But this concept is very new to many people. But I think a lot of practitioners like me included in research are really finding that there is this unseen force that's at play. I want you to talk a little bit about what you said to me regarding this experience that you had and how you kind of tuned into this intuition.
Yes.
And explain a little bit more how it found you specifically.
Yes. So it found me, and I think that has a lot to do with speaking the truth, right? Suppressing what I was feeling, what I was wanting to say, what I wanted to tell people, but I couldn't because I'm like, they're going to think I'm weird, right? This is going to be a little strange that I know this about them, or I can pick up on that. So that was a lot, working through that thyroid issue and working through that throat chakra issue and opening that up for myself. So once I came upon Reiki and it was introduced to me and I started studying that and I started studying the energy centers in the body, your abilities as a person start to blossom and start to bloom. And I always say not one Reiki practitioner in the world is the same. We're all different. We all practice the same thing, but we all essentially have different gifts that we're given.
Yeah. So I just want you to go there a little bit about you in terms of your clairvoyance and how do you tap into that intuition? What does that feel like? What does it look like when you say because here's the thing, you guys. I just want you guys to know, Chrissy does this thing, and she's part of a tranquil trio that I advocate at my facility. And there's 3 of them. And what Chrissy does is she'll sort of not touch you, but feel your energy. And she'll write down on a card what speaks to her. And if I'm not mistaken, most of the time or all of the time, it's spot on to that individual. And she'll like write a message that she intuitively feels that person needs to hear that day. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So when I work with people, when I'm doing my energy work and my intuition comes front and center and I'm ready to work and it's wide open for me because it's not wide open all the time. I open it and I close it. I tap into that person's energy. That person is there and it's allowing me to be a part of their energy and their energy body. So I am able to read what's coming off of them. And I always like to say that the best concept I can think of that's actually happening, because there is no scientific explanation for it, but I say that my higher self and that person, the patient, the client, whoever's getting Reiki, their higher self, they come together and they meet. And when they meet, because it's our higher selves, the person looking out for us, the person protecting us, the person wanting us to have the best messages, I get, I would say clairvoyantly, because I can see the message, but I can also, I pretty much read the message coming across my mind's eye, basically. And I write those messages for those people because, and it's really a short message. It's not a paragraph. It's usually like a sentence or 2. And it's something that you need to hear today, that your higher self is trying to tell you, to shift you. Yeah. To shift your energy into the place that you need to be to heal or release or do something with that energy to balance it.
Yeah, when we talk about like energy, I think people are like, whoa, wooed out about this. But I feel like, as they say, we're spiritual beings having human experience. Yes. Which means it translates to, there's this telepathic energy that's exchanged between all human beings. And I think for the listeners, I need you guys to know, it's that gut intuition. Something tells you like somebody is not right for you. Somebody makes you kind of feel this anxiety. You question everything in your body, and your sensations tell you it's the wrong or good. We are drawn to that. But oftentimes what we do is like what Chrissy was saying is we're so taught to suppress that this is weird and this is that, or, that woo-woo that I said is that we suppress that little voice and we lose our own personal power to tap into that. Like what Chrissy referred to as higher self. It's the infinite power all around you. And physiologically speaking, scientifically in your body, every synapse that you make, the hand gestures that we make, and then the voice that comes out, it's all electrical impulses exchanging between the positive and the negative. And if you really understand the quantum physics behind what's seen, the unseen is so spectacular. And I think some people, I'm going to have Chrissy explain further, but some people just have this knowing and they were born with this gift. And some people, they have to work lifetime to unshed all the layers that we've kind of cloaked over ourselves, not knowing that that's what we're doing. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So whenever I get like a client who comes in for Reiki, normally 99% of the time, their energy body has told them and given them permission to experience this, right? I very rarely get anybody who comes in and is like, I believe in none of this. I'm totally skeptical. This isn't going to work for me. I don't get those people because it's not going to work, because they're blocking it, right? So we are all energy. We are all connected. But it's with permission and free will that we're all connected.
Yeah.
Right. I don't walk around all day giving spiritual messages to everybody at the grocery store because because that's what I want to do. They're not allowing me to be in that energy field. And like you said before about feeling and knowing, the best explanation I can say for that is like, if you're in a work environment and you're having a meeting and you walk into this meeting and there's a whole bunch of people sitting around this table, you know which person is having a bad day. It's like there's a cloud over them. That's energy. There's no words spoken. There's no nothing talked about, but you just know that that person is having a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to kind of go further into that and kind of explain how, so let's just go back, rewind.
Yeah.
What are some like very common misconceptions about Reiki that you want to dispel, and how do you often address them? The most common, and then I'll go into what I was going to say.
Ooh, the most common would be, it's hard to say the most common one because I just have two different types of people. I have the type of people that say medicine cures all, and I have the type of people that say I'm open to a little bit more than medicine. Right. There's just, it's very black and white and nobody's looking at the gray area. So there's not really one common misconception. It's really like, are you for real? Like, you can really help me by placing your hands on me and having me relax. And I always say you have to experience it to feel it, to know it, because you really do feel it.
So this is what I'll say. Is I got introduced to Reiki back in 2008 when I had my very first business. It was still in Swanee. But I remember that I had a patient who was going through breast cancer at the time. And she was all of a sudden doing really well. And overnight, she crashed into this cancer thing. And then I remember financially, everything, she got into a divorce and all the things. And I remember her telling me, I went to this Reiki practitioner and something in her, and like, she needed something to grasp onto. Mm-hmm. And so I remember she's not the point I want to make, but for me, when I heard that, I was not mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready because I was much younger. I was all about the scientific data, and what I can't see, I will totally dismiss. And I think back then it wasn't readily available. So things were very new at that time, because that was over 14 years ago. I mean, yes, that's a long time ago. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what is that? And then all of a sudden I kept hearing a lot of energy medicine, quantum physics, a lot of the books I nerd out on. It just started to click for me. And I will tell you, I had many Reiki practitioners come to me and they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that in my facility of business. And the only reason why I think, and I don't let anybody touch me, because Reiki is something that I think you have to be, like what Chrissy said, you have to be energetically ready to receive. Mm-hmm. It's almost like that first, the teacher will come when the student is ready.
Yes.
And it's almost like there has to be that energy opening, and she's able to see that, and she never coerces anybody. She doesn't go after, but she patiently always waits for the invitation first. Yeah. And so I think we had this conversation regarding Trickle Trio, how you guys were coming in, and then I asked you a lot of questions about clairvoyance because I was really fascinated with that topic. And there's different types of different this, right?
Yeah.
And I remember just being fascinated with the clairvoyance because I had many instances in my life where I ignored my gut instinct and did something against my, knowing.
Yes.
For the logical mind. And I know time and time again, I always said, I should have listened to myself.
Yeah.
And then I kept asking you and probing you. And I think soon after that, you and I sort of connected and everything sort of aligned. Yeah. And Chrissy treated me, and I remember feeling, I think I fell asleep, Chrissy. Do you remember?
Yes, you did, yes. And then you were surprised. You were like, I fell asleep.
Yeah. I completely fell asleep and then had no expectations. I wanted her to just do her gift. But I think it was one of those things where you have to have complete trust in the person. And everything in my body said yes to that experience. And I remember getting out there, and I remember I told you, oh my God, from start to finish, this experience is amazing. Because here's the thing, is again, I've had one other Reiki experience with a different practitioner, didn't like it. I didn't know, I felt a little anxious after the thing, and I didn't know what it was. Yeah. And I remember having that experience because I have to vet everything that is being serviced at my facility. And I remember thinking to myself, like, something feels so right. And I felt so peace and calm. And I remember you giving me this message that was so aligned. It was a little bit personal because I was going through a lot of struggles for me. And I remember like feeling really at ease. And I still to this day carry that note card in my car as a reminder for me. And I just want you to speak to how your clients respond to this treatment.
Yes. Very, very similar to what you just said. And a lot of people tell me it's peace and calm, which in this chaotic world, they don't get a lot of. And they come into my room and it's complete, like literally everyone comes in and they just say, wow, like they take this like deep breath exhale when they come in, and they just already just open up to whatever's going to happen during that experience. And when I'm doing Reiki on them, I energetically see and feel the different energy points and the things the body wants to tell me. So when I'm working at the heart, I'm going to see the things that you've gone through in life that have affected your heart. When I'm working on your feet and your legs, I'm going to energetically see and feel what you've gone through as a child. And so I pick apart and I move forward the things that those people need to not suppress anymore and start to work on them in order to balance them or just get rid of them, throw them out, no longer hold on to them. And my clients sleep amazing that night. Feel completely balanced and refreshed after the session, a lot. And some will have like energetic releases, meaning they'll cry. They will have like a full on meltdown and not understand why.
Yeah.
Because it's the shedding of the old in order to make space for the new that needs to come in.
And it's almost like a spiritual experience. And I just want to add, it's almost like for me, I didn't have to ask questions. Right. I didn't have to understand anything in that moment. It's almost like an experience that transcends my physical being. Do you know what I mean? So